Over the past 12 months, I've spoken to hundreds of insurance companies, most of which have a complete false expectation and reality of how they can generate customers using paid ads. So this video, I'm going to share the way that you should be thinking about paid advertisements, how you should be investing into it, and the overall bottlenecks that you would expect to see as an insurance company. If you're new here, we talk about all things insurance marketing, from lead generation, funnel designs, creative, copywriting, and a load of other things mixed into that. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. You're going to really enjoy this. But what are the core issues that I'm seeing from the people that we're speaking to? The false expectations of, one, the realities of running paid ads, but also some of the biggest pitfalls that you're going to run into as a company running ads for an insurance business. So that being said, if you're an insurance company, you're going to watch this, you're going to really enjoy it. So here is the required thinking to run ads for your insurance company. So many people that I speak to just have this false expectation, or even just no understanding on how they should actually be thinking about ads as an investment strategy and as a tool to grow their insurance company. Because one thing that paid ads is not, it's not some magical outcome that potentially can achieve new revenue and leads for the business, but it's one of these things that you need to crack and use these special smart algorithms to be able to get people in. It's all it is an attention source to be able to generate traffic and throughput through a conversion funnel. So we're going to talk to you about the standard cool funnel. The cool funnel would be an ad over to some form of lead generation form, okay, so like a contact form or something like that, to a call back or a call inquiry or a booked appointment, and then a policy sale. This is your conversion funnel. This is effectively the process of driving someone through that. So paid ads is just math at the end of the day. You pay money, okay, so you pay money to generate eyeballs. Those eyeballs are the ad inside of the ad. They see the ad and then they click on the ad and they start the conversion funnel. This conversion funnel will have a conversion rate. So depending on the amount of people that click on it, there will be a percentage of people, let's just call it 20%, that pass through that throughput. So the required thinking, stage one to this, is understanding that that's all it is. You are paying to get in front of people that are likely to be interested in what you've got to offer. This could be people that are searching for it on the likes of Google. This could be people on Facebook who look like your ideal customer or show purchasing intent to be interested in that type of insurance product. And we are paying to deliver advertisements in front of those individuals. The next thing to think about as far as how this works as ads is the upfront initial investment. Most people think that, well, they don't even have an expectation because they don't even compare it to any other investment that could be made in the world. Okay, so some of the most common ones, right? Purchasing property. Okay, also buying stocks, buying bonds, crypto, any of these type of things, all are investments. Okay, most people think that, okay, I'm going to invest £1,000 in the next 30 days on ads. Okay, but then if I then turn around and said, well, okay, would you buy a house for £1,000? Well, absolutely not. Would you invest into some stock for £1,000? Probably not. Would you invest into some wine and buy a load of wine cases for £1,000? Probably not. No, why is that? Because what is it going to likely return? If you can't even buy a house for £1,000. If you purchase some stock and it goes up 20%, are you going to be over the moon with another £200 if it goes up 20% in 2 years? You've made £200 on the upfront initial investment. No, you're not going to be you're not going to be even bothered about that. You spend more than £200 probably on dinner on a Wednesday night when you go out. Okay, so to think that you can put this upfront on ads and act this as an investment, but then not even think about the other things that you would spend and invest £1,000 into just shows that, one, you're too fearful of it and you don't trust it, which, okay, that's fair enough. That's a completely different conversation to have. Or you just don't even see what the possibility of it could be delivering for your business. So what I mean by that is, if you spend 1,000, what is the likelihood that that 1,000 is going to bring back 100,000 in policy sales? I would say that it's nearly 0%. It's extremely close to 0%. If it is even possible, is like 0.00001%. So the idea on the second way to think about insurance ads is just knowing, first off, what am I trying to achieve here? What do I need to see as an outcome for this to even be worth the effort, the time, and the risk of learning and putting this in for my business? Because you've got a finite number of time, and if you're just going to dip your toes into it and think, well, yeah, it might work, and then we scale it up as it sort of shows signs of life, is the wrong way to think. It's a really good way to think about this is actually what I've heard into another YouTube video. But if you think about when you go into a casino, you give yourself a budget of maybe what you're happy to spend, right? So you give yourself a waste money budget. A waste money budget is just, have a bit of fun, we'll try a little bit of it out. You need to spend enough though for that to even be, to give you the buzz, right? Okay, because if you're making 500k a year and you go into a casino with 50 quid, you're not going to be bothered. It's not even going to give you the buzz. But if you go in there with 5k, you're going to be getting that buzz. Okay, you might be okay to lose it. It's not going to financially wreck you, but you go in to get that sort of dopamine buzz. But you're also going to be a little bit on edge because you don't ideally want to lose that amount of money. This is the same thing that you need to do with ads, because one thing that you don't realize is when you invest enough money, when you put enough money on the line, and money that you are happy to lose, money that you are happy to learn from, you will also put the actions in place to spend the time to figure this out. So the issue by only spending, say, £1,000 on ads is if it doesn't work, you actually don't care. You're like, it's more just confirmation bias. So yeah, I knew that was not going to work. I knew I was just going to waste that money. But you don't actually give two fucks about checking anything why it didn't work. Versus another scenario where we said, okay, we're going to spend 5k on ads. Now, should you spend 5k on ads and it just doesn't work and you don't learn anything from it? No, absolutely not. That's the totally wrong way that you should be doing it. But if you do put 5k up and you put the effort into time to understand what should be tracked, so you should be tracking things like your click-through rate. You should be tracking things like your cost per click. You should be tracking things like your lead conversion rate. You should be tracking things like the contact rate. You should be tracking things about how many are actually qualified, so how many people fit the criteria of what we can quote for. And also, how many of those actually turned into a quote? So how many people do we even provide a price? And then how many people do we sell? Because by tracking those things, and obviously the volume, you obviously want to track the lead volume, how many inquiries you actually received. That's part of the conversion rate. By doing this, you can take this 5k, you can put it as you would with the casino. You then have enough money on the line, you have enough risk on the line that you actually care about tracking these things. Because if you just put £1,000 on, you don't even care about these. Just one, it's not enough money to even get enough data. But second to it, you just don't really care. It's just like, wow, I spent that money, confirmation bias, yeah, new ads didn't work. But by putting money on the line, you are, one, committing to the investment. Two, you're spending enough to be able to want to be bothered why it's not working, and you want to spend the time to improve it. And then by tracking the actual metrics, unlike the casino example where you go into the casino, you spend the money and it doesn't work, there's no data, there's no information you can take away from it, you just say, right, I lost. Unlike with paid ads, you can spend the money, you can gather the data, and then you can mathematically work out where in this process did we fail. Because math is because running ads is just math. It's how much did we spend, back to the start, how much did we spend to get the eyeballs? Those eyeballs then turn into funnel conversions. They then turn into appointments and leads. They then turn into policy sales. So then what you do is you just work backwards and say, and you look through these numbers and you say, okay, our click-through rate was good. And by the way, if you don't know what a good click-through rate is, just go on to ChatGPT and ask it. Yeah, there's no reason for you to not know. You just Google it. What's a good average lead conversion rate? What's the average cost per click in this niche? What's a good contact rate? Ask people. You've got other people in the insurance space. And what's your contact rate? What's historically mine? I've built a good business here. What historically is my contact rate? And then you can look across this funnel, and then what you will find is there will be a clear common denominator. And by the way, this is if you spend enough and don't make any money. Most of the time, if you spend enough, you know what you're doing, you actually make money. It's like not hard, because most people are looking for insurance. Insurance is one of the most easiest things to run ads for, because people are actually actively going onto the internet and looking for it. But let's just say hypothetically, you had a good click-through rate, you had a good cost per click, you had a lead conversion rate, you had good qualification metrics, you had good quotes, you had good policy sales. But one of the biggest issue is you just didn't contact enough of them. You had 100 leads come through and you was only able to contact, say, 10. Okay, off the back of that, that the throughput, the thing that is broken, is not ads. It's not because you ran Google and not Facebook, and it's not because you done Facebook and not you done Google. So you didn't have the systems in place to be able to efficiently contact people. So then what we can do is we can fix this. We can Google, we can ask people, we can look at other people's funnels, we can go through other people's sales processes to see how they're doing it. Then we can fix all these things, we can put them in place, and then we go back into the casino, we take the money that we're bothered about, and we roll again. We roll again and we run that same experiment, and then we can test this live. And what you'll find by doing this testing process is that you'll mathematically work out how to make this funnel work. And then before you know it, you're spending 5K, those metrics good, and you return 10. Okay, and then you go, right, this is now working. How far can we push it? We spend 10. Oh, great, we just generated 20. Okay, so if we spend 20 this month, does that bring us back 40? Okay, interesting, because we're now actually going into a different type of audience. We just made 45. Again, these are just baseline random numbers, right, just to give you some context. Okay, if we spend 45 and we have the capacity to do that, okay, that's interesting. That only brings us back 60. So where, again, we go back through this funnel do we need to see the improvements and the bottlenecks. So one of the biggest things with the required thinking to run ads is not just to hit and hope. It's not just to throw a little bit of money at the wall. It's to have a structured strategy that's data driven, that works. You use a funnel that has been proven. And by the way, if you want to know a funnel that is proven, just watch the video in the description. I'll link it. It's literally a video describing the exact funnel you should be using to run insurance ads. The one that we use for all of our clients has been the one that has consistently been the most successful, and it's just the easiest to run at scale. So that being said, the required thinking is to just understand what is ads, what are you even trying to achieve here. 2, just understand that you're not going to get rich quick. It's not spend 1,000, make 100,000. The reality being, if you're getting like a 3, a 4, 5x return, that is extremely good. And you don't need to be turning £100 into £1 million when you have consistent lead flow that can produce some really good numbers. And second to that, or third to that, if you are just hitting and hoping without even tracking any of the metrics, the underlying numbers, and you're not keeping a track on these things, 1, you're probably not spending in enough, so you're not putting your balls on the line and making it worthwhile, or 2, you're not even attempting to track and you don't know what to track. So if you track those things that I've just mentioned, they're going to be your high level metrics. There are other things you can track, but we'll save them for the actual clients that pay us for this help. So that being said, that is the way and required thinking that you should be doing for insurance ads. If you've got questions on it, leave them below. You can like, subscribe, do all that good YouTube stuff. I'm on LinkedIn. If you want to work with us, you can book a call as well, where we help clients actually implement these funnels on a done for you basis, provide full consultancy, do the ads, visuals, landing page funnels, and effectively build in a process that consistently brings qualified leads. That being said, appreciate you watching. Cheers.